So if you haven't met me before, my name is Dr. Jen Truckenbrod. I'm a pharmacist and diabetic educator. I come on lives. I started lives about a little over a month ago for the first time in my life, talking about nutrition and intermittent fasting, because my journey here with fasting has just been incredible. It really has. And as I see it change the lives of everyone who I work with at the pharmacy, people I have tried to help as a diabetic educator in the past who have failed on certain medications, have tried the Ozempics and gotten super sick off of them, those kind of things, and have not been able to take the traditional prescription medication to help with weight loss or their blood sugar and have really struggled with it, are now doing really well, doing things like intermittent fasting, using plant-based supplements, doing more natural solutions. And as I see their accomplishments, as I see what they're achieving, as I see how their mood changes, their energy level changes, their weight loss, there's my inspiration, okay? So that's why I'm here. That's why I get on these TikToks, and that's why I do these lives. Because I have never seen that from anything else that I have personally used, that I have used with other people before, that I've given to my patients and friends and clients and all of that. I've never seen this kind of success over and over and over again with this. It's just incredible. So here I am to chit chat about insulin resistance. So are you ready for it? When we talk about insulin resistance, this is what I am talking about. If you don't know what insulin resistance is, there is a ton of information on it. Now, for a long time, they basically called insulin resistance pre-diabetes. So if you've ever been told you were pre-diabetic, borderline diabetic, hello, Neva, that's what I'm talking about, insulin resistance. Now, for me personally, I am someone who has fluctuated in weight. I have weighed 180 pounds before. I've weighed 120 pounds before, and I've been everywhere in between a million times up and down. I really have. I've had 4 kids, and of course, there's some crazy weight fluctuations with that as well. But over the years, I've tried various different diets. I've tried keto. I've tried carb cycling. I've done weightlifting, a lot of cardio. Okay, I've done a lot of different things, and this what I'm doing now, this intermittent fasting, has given me more energy than anything I've ever tried before. Honestly, I'm absolutely loving it. So let's talk about insulin resistance, where it starts and how you can fix that with fasting. So number one, with insulin resistance, basically most of us, a majority of Americans, somewhere between 80 and 90%, they're thinking, are metabolically insufficient. With at least 40%, and these are studies from 5 years ago saying at least 40% of us are in the pre-diabetic insulin resistant stage. Now some studies are showing up to 80% pre-diabetic, and it is our food, you guys. It's all of our food that is tainted with the extra chemicals, the extra sugar, salt, and fat. Our food is actually tainted to make us addicted. So instead of eating a couple of chips, we eat the whole bag, and they make it that way on purpose. Obviously, the chip companies, the processed food companies, they make more money if you eat more of their product. It makes sense. It's good sales for them. It's just bad nutrition for us. All right? So what is insulin resistance? Insulin resistance is a state in which basically your body is craving sugar or food all the time. So you're eating every 2 to 3 hours throughout the day. You're either eating something, drinking coffee with cream and sugar, slamming that Starbucks, wanting energy drinks all the time, craving caffeine, craving sugar, craving something to keep you awake. That's when you know you're most likely in an insulin resistant state. Okay, it's not about being obese. It's not about your doctor telling you you're diabetic. It's about cravings. It's about your gut metabolism being crappy. It's about you not being able to go more than 2 to 3 hours without food, or you get hangry. If you're somebody who gets hangry, if you haven't eaten in a few hours, do you know what that means? It means you're metabolically insufficient. It means your body does not know how to switch from a sugar burning, food burning system over to a fat burning system. Now, see, your body is naturally made to go throughout the day switching between those two systems. So when you eat all day the night before, at night, during the day, you're going to store all that sugar, right? Any excess sugar that you get in your food, and everything breaks down to sugar. Your fats, your proteins, all of your carbs, everything breaks down to sugar, all right? That sugar gets stored in your fat, stored in your liver, stored in your muscles. Now, when you sleep at night, your body starts to realize, hey, we're not getting food in. What do? we're going to open up some of that storage, right? We're going to open up that storage and use some of that energy. Now, the first couple of hours you're sleeping, up to 8 hours, you're just burning off the sugar, because obviously while you're sleeping, you're not expending a lot of energy, right? Your energy expansion is low. It's low. You're sleeping. You're not, unless you're running, kicking, and having a wild dream, you're not burning a lot of energy in your sleep, all right? You're honestly not. So your body slowly, very slow burns off that sugar that's in your bloodstream from the food you ate all day. Now, usually somewhere around 8 hours, your body runs out of sugar in the bloodstream, and it starts realizing that you need to use the stored sugar, some of that excess that you stored throughout the day before, out of your fat, out of your liver, pulls a little out of your muscles as well. All that extra sugar comes out. So it starts opening up that storage system. The problem is the typical American wakes up and eats. And if you eat right away in the morning, or you drink coffee with cream and sugar, what happens? You turn off that fat burning system and you go right back into sugar burning. When it comes to your fasting versus feeding cycles, if you wake up in that fasted state and your body's ready to switch over to that fat burning and you eat right away, you add sugar into your diet, you completely shut that down. You don't allow your body to make ketones. You don't allow your body to break up that fat. And so what happens is that fat just stays in storage, that sugar just stays in storage, feeds your fat cells, plumps them up, okay? Then what happens if you're eating every 2 to 3 hours all day long, every time you eat, you bump up your sugar, you bump up your insulin level. As it starts to come down, if you have a snack, drink some Starbucks, sugar and insulin goes right back up. As it starts to come down, you have lunch, sugar and insulin. Starts to come down, you have a snack, you have some chips, you chew on some Starburst like I used to do, bumps that back up. Dinner comes, bumps it back up. Then all night long, you start burning that sugar, but because, like I said, you're sleeping and you're not expending energy very much at all, that it is a very slow come down process with your sugar and your insulin levels. That's how insulin resistance occurs, because we're eating all day long and we're not giving our body long enough of a break to break up that fat storage to turn into a fat burning system. What happens is two things. Number one, we're not making any ketones, which means if we go more than 2 to 3 hours without eating, because our body doesn't know how to switch to that fat burning and use that fat for fuel, we get hangry, we get irritable, we get a sugar crash, and we get cravings like crazy for sugar and salt and fat. That's insulin resistance. Not to mention that, but because number two, your insulin level is so high all day long. You see, when you eat that first meal of the day, your sugar spikes, your insulin spikes. Now, insulin comes down a lot slower than sugar. So every time you eat and you bump up your sugar again, you push up that insulin again. And as the insulin starts, so your sugar's going like this throughout the day. As you eat, up and down, up and down. That's why you get those sugar cravings and crashes, okay? Your insulin level is up, your sugar's going up and down all day long, and your insulin has such a hard time coming down. And so when we get in that insulin resistant state where the insulin is up all the time, and insulin is that hormone that takes the sugar and pushes it into the fat, into the liver, into the muscles, okay? That's what insulin does. When that insulin level is up all the time, what happens is the sensitivity of the insulin receptors in your cells stop working efficiently. They get overloaded, they get bogged down, they stop working, and guess what happens? Over time, as those insulin receptors start not working efficiently, your blood sugar just keeps getting higher and higher. You just keep building it up. And that's when you become diabetic. That's when diabetes happens. Years of insulin resistance, okay? So that's a simple explanation of what insulin resistance is. So how do we control your insulin level spiking all the time? Okay, you can do something as simple as intermittent fasting. So that's what I started studying about a year ago when my patients kept coming in and they were looking for something to do instead of the Ozempic because it was making them super sick. They needed something to get their blood sugar down, get out of that insulin resistant state. Intermittent fasting works, you guys. Intermittent fasting works. So if you want to eat your fruits and vegetables, do it. I just don't recommend eating a lot of fruits and vegetables every single day. If you can put in your diet a little bit more carb cycling, like have days where you have less carbs, because you got to remember fruits and vegetables are carbs too, okay? So if you're eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, you're still getting a lot of carbohydrates. And your body, it's a complex carb, still has to break it down, get it into your bloodstream, and it's going to bump your sugar up. If you have concerns about your blood sugar and where your blood sugar is at, it's so easy to get a blood sugar monitor at your local pharmacy. Okay, I know the independent pharmacy I work at in my hometown they give out free meters and very expensive test strips and lancets. If you Google online, even on Amazon, you can find some really good deals. I was the pharmacy manager at a Walmart pharmacy for 10 years. And of course, that was 5 years back. But back then, and I haven't checked lately, we had a very, very inexpensive meter and test strips and lancets as well. So I'm sure they still have that program. So what do you think about the GLP-1s? Okay, so I honestly don't like the GLP-1s at all, so I apologize. The GLP-1s have caused so many gut side effects for so many people. I know they started becoming popular about 2017 is when they really came out. And unfortunately, you see a lot of people have things like gut paralysis, nausea, vomiting, severe diarrhea. I've had some patients use Ozempic for as little as 1 month and still not be able to consume solid food 9 months later because of how it reacted on their gut, paralyzing their gut, making it unable for them to eat at all. So please be very careful with the GLP-1s. If you are not full-blown diabetic and you're using it for weight loss, I am seeing so many people have horrible side effects. So please be careful. So I'm going to talk about how when I started studying intermittent fasting, I found a company that sells a plant-based supplement product. Okay, this is what I used to get myself in the fasting mode. So can you intermittent fast without a supplement? Yes, absolutely you can. If you are like me and you are a person who craves sweets all day long, if you are in a very insulin resistant state where you have a lot of craving and a crappy gut metabolism and you are not moving your bowels every day like you should, which means you are metabolically insufficient, you may need a little help. If you need a little help, this is an amazing product to use. This makes it so much easier. So I'm gonna explain how the system works, okay? The Unimate, this is a Yerba Mate tea. And if you look up Yerba Mate, okay, this has been around for centuries. There's countries that have used this for centuries as a medicinal, like medicine, okay? Just because it helps with the energy levels, your metabolism, all of that good things. This acts as a natural GLP-1. Google it, you will find information on it. It's all over the internet, you guys. Yerba Mate is incredible, and there's so many people talking about it, and it's so underrated. People aren't talking about it enough. They really aren't. And I'm seeing podcast after podcast now popping up. Now that I start Googling it, all these podcasts are coming up talking about Yerba Mate, how people are using this as a pre-workout. They're loving this because it's a potent antioxidant. It increases the oxygen that gets to your cells. That's talking about your brain, your muscles, everything. It works amazing as a pre-workout. There was a person on the science team for Yerba Mate here about like 15 years back who actually drank 2 teas a day and broke 3 world records lifting weights, like powerlifting, okay? Using this. It's a potent antioxidant. So can you fast when you're diabetic taking metformin in the morning? Yes, you can still fast. Now you need to realize your metformin is going to lower your blood sugar. Okay, so if your blood sugar levels are already low, if you are on metformin, that means you are diabetic and you should be testing your blood sugar. If you are not testing your blood sugar, that's something you need to start doing. Okay, the 2 main times that you should be testing your blood sugar is what's called in your fasted state, okay, which is first thing when you wake up and before you eat your first meal of the day to see where your blood sugar is at. Okay, and depending on the person, a healthy fasting blood sugar can be anywhere as low as like 70 for some people and as high as 140. And it just depends on your metabolism and who you are, honestly, and your weight. So that can vary for a lot of people. If your fasting is 200, 300, you are looking at diabetes, okay? You are highly insulin resistant. Now, the second time you should be testing your blood sugar if you're on metformin or any diabetic medication or concerned about your blood sugar or insulin resistance at all is 2 hours after your meal. Same sort of thing. 2 hours, by 2 hours after you've consumed your meal, your sugar should have already bumped up. Your insulin should have already hit out of your pancreas and brought that blood sugar down. It should have brought it down to a more normal number. So you should be under that 150 mark. If you're getting numbers that are crazy, that are 200 and 300, it means your insulin is not working. Your blood sugar is way too high and you're gonna start doing damage to your internal organs when you talk about long term. That's why diabetics have amputations, they lose their vision, they have heart attacks and strokes because sugar is a big, heavy molecule. It does a lot of damage to your internal organs going through the arteries and the capillaries and all those little blood vessels. Physically does damage. Cholesterol, same thing, does damage. Large molecule, it adheres to the arteries, causes blockages, all of that stuff, okay? That's why the big 3 things that you need to worry about in healthcare is your blood sugar, your cholesterol, and your blood pressure, because those are the 3 things that do damage to your insides. Those are the 3 things that cause cardiovascular damage. That shortens your lifespan, you guys. That shortens your lifespan. Dementia. Okay, Yolanda, I'm going to talk about dementia as well. Dementia is considered a side effect of type 3 diabetes. If you've never heard of type 3, it is a thing, and it is something we've been talking about for the last couple years as medical professionals. Type 3 diabetes is what happens because your blood sugar is high. Not only is it affecting the organs in your body, which can cause heart attacks and strokes long term, but it does damage to the neurons in your brain. You don't get the proper oxygenation where you need. Neurons actually die off, cause dementia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. These are things that we are seeing. There are more and more studies. You can Google this all day long. You will go down a rabbit hole that will scare you. When your blood sugar is high, long term, and I'm talking about years because you have uncontrolled sugar, you're doing damage to your brain as well. Not just your heart, not just the little capillaries in your fingers and toes that can cause amputation, in your eyes that are going to cause you to get glasses as we get older and stuff. That's not just age, that's damage as well, okay? But in your brain, it can cause dementia because the neurons in your brain actually get damaged. They can't get the oxygen because those capillaries are damaged. They're not getting the blood flow. Those neurons can actually die off and actually cause, we call it age-related dementia, but now they're saying it is blood sugar-related dementia. Okay, so you got lab results 2 weeks in, your LDL and glucose is down. Definitely a start. That's awesome, Candace. And you're going to, here's the deal. As your gut metabolism starts to work better, and as you start metabolizing better, and as your weight comes down, those numbers will just keep getting better and better and better. So you're doing 16-hour fasting on keto and your bowel movements aren't great. Okay, that's John, that's why we have something like this, okay? Because I understand what you're saying. A lot of people with fasting, especially with keto, have problems either with diarrhea or constipation. And diarrhea can sometimes be constipation. If you are long-term constipated or if you are not moving the bowels the way you should, what happens is the bowels have contractions, but the feces isn't moving, and eventually it becomes water and you get diarrhea here. Okay, so with this, the Unimate is the Yerba Mate. You're gonna drink the tea. I got so excited about nutrition that I forgot to actually talk about the supplement. The Yerba Mate tea increases ketone production by 80%, increases fat burning by 24% for the first 2 hours after you drink it. You drink this instead of breakfast. Instead of breaking your fast and putting yourself back in sugar burning mode, you use this. This only has the new formulation that just came out. It went from 10 calories down to 5. It only has 5 calories now, okay? The carb, this is literally, it's like 1 carb now. It's almost nothing in this. It does not break your fast. It does not spike your sugar. It keeps you in that fasting state, bumps up your ketones. Ketones feed your brain. Feed your brain. So instead of being in an insulin resistant state, which actually damages the brain and decreases oxygenation, a potent antioxidant like this increases the oxygen to the brain, increases the ketones that get to the brain, give you mental clarity, help with memory, help with all those things that so many of us suffer from because we have a crap diet. We have a crap diet, you guys. You can have coffee in the morning, black, no sugar. That is fine. That is not going to break your fast, okay? It will add some acidity to your stomach. So if you're really worried about your gut metabolism, just don't overdo it, like a cup, okay? So now the balance here, this is fiber. We're talking about going to the bathroom and keeping food in, meaning food out. This is a patented fiber biocomplex right here, you guys. It has soluble and insoluble fiber, which means when you drink this 7 to 10 minutes before lunch and before dinner, you have this for breakfast, bump yourself into that intermittent fasting state. So guess what happens? When you go to eat your first meal of the day, and you can wait a few hours, if you can wait till noon and do that 16-hour fasting, just overnight and waiting till noon, break your fast with a potent prebiotic fiber like this, you're gonna feed your gut metabolism, you're gonna feed your good bacteria in your gut, okay? You're gonna coat the inside of your gut. This will make your bowels move the way they should. Food in, food out. That is how your body is supposed to work. That is how it works if you're metabolically sufficient, okay? Like I said, 80-90% of us Metabolically insufficient. Food in is not food out, and that is the way your body is supposed to process things. All right, that's how you get the best bang for your buck with your macro and micronutrients. If you are on medication, Ralph, okay, you can still use medication with this system. Yerba Mate has no known drug interactions, and it has been around a while, way longer than Ozempic, okay? And the balance is fiber. This is the same, and it's 4 grams of fiber. That's not a huge high amount of fiber. It's a normal meal type of fiber. So when you're talking about fiber and medications, some medications do interact with fiber. All you have to do is not have this in your gut at the same time. Within 90 minutes of taking this, it is going to pass through your gut. It's going to pass through your gut into the intestine and move on. Then when you take your medication, it will start getting dissolved in the gut. By the time it gets to the intestines, it'll get absorbed just fine. You just can't have it in your stomach at the same time. That's the trick about that, okay? When it comes to fiber, there's really no drug interactions if you avoid it by that 90 minutes. For some medication, you don't want to have it in your gut at the same time with fiber. And that's whether it's this, any fiber supplement, or even a meal that is high in fiber. Same thing. You just have to avoid it, okay? You can, Rania, can you take 2 Balance at one time? Yes, you can. That is even recommended if you are going out and having a highly saturated fat, greasy, let's say you love this fried chicken place and you want some fried chicken, but you know when you walk in there, you eat a bowl of fried chicken, okay, and you have severe diarrhea, all kinds of problems related to it, but I won't even go there. You want your fried chicken, right? It's recommended that you drink 2 of the Balance. It's gonna coat the gut better, block cholesterol. This has plant sterols in it that actually block cholesterol and get your LDL down, okay? We've seen people within 30 days of using this getting an 8 to 10% reduction in cholesterol. 8 to 10% within 30 days. Blood sugar levels coming down within 30 days. That's the studies that they've done. It's incredible. So with the Balance, not only are you going to move the bowels the way you should, you're going to coat the gut. So what happens is when you eat carbs, when you eat greasy food and stuff like that, it adheres to that fiber matrix in there, that gel fibric matrix of that soluble fiber that they have, so that it becomes, your carbs become even more complex. Your body takes longer to break them down, okay? It's going to move through your gut nice and slow, but your gut's still moving, not like Ozempic, but it paralyzes your gut and shuts it off. This fiber is just going to slow down how it moves through your gut. It's going to get absorbed slower, and instead of getting a sugar insulin spike, and it takes all day to get that insulin down because your sugar is like this all day, instead of that, if you have the Balance in your gut before you eat, your sugar goes up slower. And when your sugar doesn't spike and it just goes up slow, your insulin doesn't spike. It goes up slow, coming back down faster. If you skip a snack and you eat lunch and dinner and don't snack in between, you can be back to burning fat for fuel and in a keto state in between your 2 meals. And honestly, that's how your body is made to work. It's made to, I eat lunch, I eat a big meal, my sugar's gonna go up like this, right? The excess sugar here, the insulin's gonna push it into my fat. And then guess what? The next time I'm not eating, 2-3 hours later, I'm not eating, I'm gonna start burning that fat right back off. That's how your body's made to work. Store it, use it, store it, use it, and cycle between that all day long. Unfortunately, what the studies are finding is people have fat, accumulated fat, from when they were 9-10 years old. Because at that point, they started eating excess sugar and never gave themselves enough exercise or enough time with something like fasting to burn it off.